12, I'm going to quickly switch to our workspace. Oops, I went to properties. This is a different workspace theme for SDET. A little bit more implementation on what we are doing using Java, but more on automation testing, automation frameworks. So let's switch to our core Java. And we went through a few themes earlier in OOPS concept. We spoke about encapsulation, constructors, and how we can pass arguments into it, static methods, and how we can talk about static methods or parameters, and what are final. So how you can static methods or parameters being accessible across the any where you access it without an object specified to it, and final being you're really not changing it once the value is set. What else did we do? Method overloading, where we have a function with the same name. So I'll say add int x comma int y and overloaded with add double x comma double y. So your arguments are changing. Inheritance, where your parent class basically has a specific defined structure to it, and a child class inherits whatever the parent class has. And once the child class is there, can implement additional features over it. So we were speaking about a few of these. Let's see. We were doing all of this in project one. Yep, bunch of things here. So method overloading. We were speaking here where we are sending different parameters here. It's able to handle them. Inheritance, where we have created something like phone. Did we do this team? Yes, in the previous session? Yes, I think so. So we created a phone. So where is our phone.java? It's out here. And it's a main class team which has string vnum, vname, and call or text is what we can do. Now smartphone extends phone. So apart from making those call and text, it can also do surf and apps. Smartphone 2 extends phone, and here there was some difference that we brought in. Static class. So if you have a static class, what was the other one? Flip phone. Where's flip phone? Here. Flip phone is fine. And yeah, flip phone 2, when I say extends flip phone, and since my flip phone is final, I cannot say that I can extend anything further from a flip phone. That's my final. But I'm saying that this class is going to be final. No more child classes are going to go to it. So did we speak about that? Restricts further inheritance. No more child classes or extends. So method overwriting, in the sense, what we're talking about, did we write one for method overwriting? So let's finish the inheritance. So here in inheritance, we have phone 1. So name and number, for any regular phone, we can do call and text. If I have a smartphone P2, I can surf apps also. If I have a P3, I can do certain things. So these are child phones of the parent, which is the main phone in general. Then we were speaking about method overwriting team. So in here, what we're saying is the method that is there in the smartphone. Okay, let me explain this. Talking method overwriting here. So we are overwriting an existing method totally. Overloading is we're using the same structure, but we are doing something, little different to it. We're loading it with different parameters. Now we have primarily a parent, okay, and then a child. Correct? Parent has, let's say, method 1 and method 2, And child has let's say method 1 and method 3. So the same name is retained by the child. So this method 1 in child takes precedence over the parent. So see, P1 is a smartphone, P2 is smartphone 2, which extends P1. So see, smartphone 2, when I say call here, making a smarter call. But in a regular call, I'm just saying smartphone has the parent call here in under phone, and that will making a call to. So that basically says my method is overwritten. So the call method in my parent, which is like M1, and the call method in my child, which is M1, my child method is preceding over the parent. And that takes priority over the parent method. Child method takes precedence. All right, everyone. So that was method overwriting, and then polymorphism. What was polymorphism, team? From the same, you can create multiple instances, and there are concepts of hybrid polymorphism and so on. Parent is the same, each but various forms child are taken from the parent, and it could spread from there on as to what it can do. Cars is my main thing, then sports extends cars, I'm assuming. Electric will be extending cars as well. So where is cars.java? Here. And here I have cars, and sports extends cars, and that's good. Electric extends car, this is final, so you cannot do further. So just drive, faster drive, efficient drive. And it's all about which is taking precedence. In this case, they are inheriting. And there's also concepts of hybrid, inheriting from hybrid is when you inherit hybrid polymorphism. Inherit from multiple parents. And that's when we get multiple capabilities to go along with hybrid. I'll talk a little bit about interview questions where they differentiate a little later. Let's cover some good concepts, team, on this. I also saw one question from one of the members. I did not get a chance to work on it, but let's finish a couple of these, team, important ones, and then we will go into the next. These three concepts are very critical, team, for us to understand. Abstraction is extremely simple. All that we say is, let us say, I create a new class. Sorry. And I'll just call this as, how do I say, let us say, I'll say vehicles team. And there's nothing final to main method into it. Now, this is not a public as per se, but more of an abstract class in this case. Once it becomes an abstract class, what it means is it must be inherited from other class. I'm trying to get the idea clearly here, team. So, for example, let's put a couple of things here. I'll say abstract a method here, and public abstract, it doesn't return anything on let us say all vehicles honk. And here I'll just print and say honk. Okay. Now the problem is, team, when it comes to abstract, you're giving more of a skeleton structure. You cannot put any executable code into it. Executable code in sense into the methods, or even for the class. So into the methods. So what that means is I cannot have a valid statement inside a honk method. So if I save this, boy, this is correct. What's wrong with this? But if I say class car extends vehicles, just say vehicle here, vehicles is fine. Vehicles, then I can specify that the car the same method which was there as honk, and say car honk here. Something is not correct. Remove abstract modifier, remove method body. There's nothing in the body, it was just a comment. It is asking me to remove even the body team. Oh yeah, it doesn't want me to put anything. Basically, it's okay to put a comment, but it wants me to put a semicolon after that. It just says that this is my method which is gonna be there. And I will put one more and say see, if I basically had used honk with all of this, it would have been a problem. And then let us say all vehicles can drive. These are two abstract methods, team. When I say class car, it extends animal sound or it extends a vehicles. So the concept is the same thing for us. So if I say a vehicle, then I can say it could be a car, it could be a truck, and it could be maybe a big bus as well. These are all vehicles for us. Now, depends on where we want to give. When we say abstract, we give a structure to it. The actual information must be filled by that specific child objects which inherits this abstract class. So the same thing if I talk about, let us say, animals. Different animals are there. All animals would maybe make sounds, maybe eat food, and maybe sleep. Okay. Now these are abstract methods that I can create. And then I can say, depending on what animal, what they eat, how much time they sleep, and what sounds they make, I could change. See, abstract class does not have any details into it. It will be as is. Now, what is the issue here with class R extends? Let's see. Now, I don't think it's any more abstract because I have already taken the details from there. It's abstract class, public, so and so on to extract. I can have a regular one, like public void bill. Let's say piano, planned non-operation for any vehicle. So here I can basically say, let us say there's a variable that we create. Then in the abstract class, let me know. So here I'll just print and say vehicle, plant, non-operational. So that I can take as a class as is team. But my question is why it's not extending. Let's see. Add unimplemented methods. Okay, so both of the methods I have to implement, just not the honk. So where is my drive? Because how will we be able to drive if we cannot specify this? So here for a car, we'll say car honk and a car drive. So it's the same exact name as the abstract method. So see, my vehicles is an abstract class. It can have honk, drive, piano. This is a regular method. So if I have, what does it still have? Public abstract. Okay, abstract is a bad word here. The copy paste in there. So void honk and then drive. So now if I go to J42 and say talk about abstraction, is there still an error on this? Let's save this. No. So here I have a class car team, and then I'll have a class tag, and each of these have to specify all the abstract methods that are there. This is an abstract method honk, this is an abstract method drive. So what does honk do for a tank? We got to specify that. What does drive do for a tank? We have specified that. So tank drive, this is drive. Now the whole concept is you need to extend that class and make sure you implement those abstract methods before you can start using those classes. So now it's pretty simple. I can say car C1 equals to new car. It's in vehicle, it's in inside vehicles, right? Tick, tick, tick. Let's get this whole thing and put it into my main. See if that works. That's there. And before that, 1 second. Is it because it's supposed to be a lowercase c? Does it recognize car now? Yes, it does. So I can say C1 dot honk, and I can say C1 dot drive. I can also say C1 dot PNO. Now let me create a tag. Let's say T1 equals to new tag. No arguments that I'm sending while creation for the constructor. I'll say T1 dot honk, T1 dot drive, and T1 dot PNO. So this basically I'm taking main abstract class is vehicles, two abstract methods on drive, one non-abstract method called piano. So now for piano, you can basically call it as is team. You don't need have a challenge to it. You can override it out here by saying, let us say, was this piano here? It's vehicles. Yeah. So, okay. For a regular car, maybe there's a piano and it'll pick up. So this is over return method because we are taking it over from the parent class. Yes, the parent is class is abstract. This is abstract. Methods are mandatory, so you cannot skip any of these while creating a child class. So as simple as, let's say, class bus and bus no, then I'll say bus drive. Let's say bus no piano for bus also. Now it's so easy for us to structure things, team, what each can do. For every abstract, I know that I cannot put any code into it. And you will need to write those mandates. And now I created this. It did recognize my car, tank, T1, and let's say now my bus B1 equals to new bus. And B1 dot honk, B1 dot drive, and B1 dot piano. And each of this have its own set of features. Not everything is over return. Okay, only few of them are. Car honk, car drive. Vehicle piano is fine. Car tank honk, tank drive. No piano for tank. So just imagine, even with animals or devices or any categories, you can create such structures. So a large team working together will say, okay, you know what, let me first create an abstract structure of how our class should look. And then we'll start, extending those and creating more specific ones from there. So that's a good way to look at any software application development as a concept in starting. So the primary purpose of abstract classes or method is to add additional security. So every method, every abstract method must be implemented in child class that extends the abstract in. And primarily, the idea is to achieve some amount of security towards how our data needs to be shared to who. So I will create an abstract class, and a tank does not need to know how a car performs. A car does not need to know how a bus performs, and so on. So that's the level of abstraction we can give. Example, tank, bus, and cars do not know what happens to the other inherited abstract objects. Okay, so they don't know what is happening to the other. So in our case, we wrote the entire code in one go. You can separate them and put them into multiple places. Right, so that's how we go about talking about abstraction. Very critical in that sense, or how we implement. And honestly, team, Java is all about taking these concepts and implementing them one after the other, and so on. All right, let's talk about enums, team, and what they do for us. Any question on abstract classes, please let me know. So enums basically holds a set of constant values to choose from. So primarily, if I have a class here, just put it in the same. So think of it like a not just a boolean, but a flag theme. A flag can be simple thing like, I'll say, let me put it into a class, because each one should be into a class. So this is public class enum class. That's the name of it. I'm trying to keep it a little different from the other. What happened in its own file? That's fine. Class enum class. I'll just say enum, and then let us say switch. And here the details that I'll give for switch is on or off. Only these two values to you. Okay. And here let's say public void say hi string s. So if I have to create an object for this theme, all I'm doing in this case is it's called enum class, and say enum class e equals to new enum class. So it's a simple same way we create. Now, when I say e dot say hi, that should be fine, team. Let's run this. So it's a regular one. Just forget what I put in enum for now. It's a regular class as is. So J43 say hi to now we are able to execute this. Now when it comes to e dot switch, e dot, okay. When I say switch itself, it's an enum class. See, let's say s equals to, what am I doing? Enum switch. So enum class switch s equals switch dot, it is switch, right? What did I do here? Import switch enum class. I already have it here. That's why I had it as public, but it is in the same enum class. Let's take it into its own directory. It's got nothing to do with the public or default in this case, team, but why is it having a hard time here and thinking? Enum switch. Let me quickly search Java enum. Tutorials. Let's see. Let's see this. Something from Stack Overflow also. Okay, enum vehicles. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, team. That's the whole thing. I was supposed to put this by itself, not into this class. Okay. So that was the problem. So if I leave it here, then it should not be an issue. Switch dot on. There we go. So I could then use that for values only. The only thing that I can do in it, set it to the switch dot off or switch dot on at any point. So you can always say what is contained into S in this case. So but S cannot have anything else that you send into. It can only have one of the enum options. So when it comes to things like, let us say, having a list of weekdates, like weekdays and weekends. So I can create new Java class J44 underscore enum2, and yeah, and all I'm doing in this case is another enum, and I'm going to give it a value, and so this is let's say day of the week. Now the day of the week can be a Monday or a Tuesday or Wednesday or Friday, Thursday, Friday. All I'm doing is separate them by comma, Saturday or Sunday. So anything that you do with that day, D equals to day dot. You can choose that value from that list. This is so. Let us print day is plus D, whatever comes in that D. Let's see what happens when we execute this. So day is Monday. So I'm only able to set one of those days. So I can say D equals day dot sun, and that's fine. So that's primarily how I can specify enums. So choose from a list. Like days or on, off, countries, etc. So standard things that remain to be not very changing. So you can create it as enum. The user cannot enter any other details. You can only choose from those given values. So that gives us a lot of advantages when we are programming, to be able to assign some values into enums and say that, okay, you know what, user, choose from any of these. Now comes the other concept of array list and hash maps. These are all about storing content or data, and why each one is there for a different purpose altogether. So let's look into that. So we know the basic concept of an array team. A variable basically has a name to it and a value inside. An array has all this data stored one after the other. So I can have A, B, C, F out here. And the values or the count starts from 0, 1, 2, 3. The primary thing that we need to look at, team, is that you cannot change the size of the array. So once we define an array, so if I'm saying string in S, okay, and then not S, S1, and then I say S1 equals to what data should we put into it? Let's say A, B, C, 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 B. So now here's my array that I'm setting up to. It's saying that this is what I want to put into them. So if I want to load data into an array, I need to do it during initialization. Array is created for fixed width. So it's a little bit more challenge to keep on dynamically changing the size of an array. But now when it comes to an array list, what we do, the primary difference is that you can change the size of the array. So you could primarily focus on adding or removing items for it. So let's say I talked about an array list. So array list starts with array list, and I talk about what type of an array list is there. And this comes in less than greater than symbol within it. Let us say I put strings. So when I say string of S1, I don't need to necessarily put any values into it. Let's say S2. I'll say new array list. That's it. Again, I have to say string, is it? String, correct. And I definitely have to import array listing. So Java utility should be already available for us, not an external jar. You need to import it from your library. So now you have array list. So array list is empty team. So at any point, if you want an item from an array, you'll say S1 and 0. You get the value. Able to print and say what's my first item, what's in my S1 dot length, okay, and then I'll say what's in my S1 dot length plus 1. So if I run this as is team first, let's see what happens. It should throw up an error for us because index is out of bound. So this has happened on line 19 out here. So length itself is more, length minus 1 we should say, and this is beyond the size. That's our array. When it comes to array list, I have more control. So let's rerun this. So I can start to add items into it, and it may sound a little bit more tedious, but you can put it into a loop and do a lot of things into it. I'll say A, and then the next element after this I'll say is BB. And now we have a total list of a team. So I can print out all of them, or if I say S2 dot get int index, this is the one, and say the 0 item. So it's basically the same thing like our array, but to differentiate for array list and array, we are using regular brackets rather than square brackets here. So similarly, I can see S2 dot up to 3. Let's see what happens if I say dot get 4. All right, let's run this now. So A, FFF, A. So that's the first one, DDD. Exception index is out of bound. At least I'm able to add after the array list is created. So first initialize array list, and then add items whenever you want. So it's just not about adding items or reading the values to. I can also go and set values. So if I say, how do I get the size of this array list? I think it will be everything should be here s2 dot size. So that's mine in size 1, size s2 equals this. So that's to the maximum that I'll go, minus 1. Okay. This has to be created before that. So I'll put it here. Now what I could do, team, we could do a lot of changes to it. Changes like I can remove, set, or clear onto them too. So I've got the size and I've got the values. So if I say s2 dot set where and what. So in 0, I want to let us say put 4 A's. I can use this. And when you say s2 dot add team, it's always adding to the end. So s2 dot add is continuously keeps adding to the end. And let us say this the second one or third one. I'll put this as x. And let's try and remove all the C, the one with C that is there. The C is in 0, 1. Okay, let's remove. Let's run this first, otherwise we will not know what is there. So I think I can also print the entire array list by saying S2. Let's print what is there so far. So there you go. So all A's, B, 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 this got changed, this got changed. All these are there, and we added a new one. Now you could also remove and say s2 dot remove. Remove should have two things, by index, or I can also search by the value I think specified. So let us say I want to search for x. How many are there? So many. Assuming that's correct. So it will try and find that and remove that from our content. So let's reprint this after removing that. So now you won't see any more of that. Now, if you try to execute the same again, what would happen? I don't know. Let throw an error that it could not find, or it will just not do anything. Yeah, just didn't do anything. It didn't find, so it went through. So that's to be able to remove based on a value. So add, then set to a specific index, then remove matching content. This is the first matching content. The first matching content. And then let's talk about, so we did this, what else is there? Size we spoke. I want to print everything in a in the entire thing. So I already know what the size is. So I can always say size s2. The latest one is s2 dot size. And I have that. So I can loop through and say for in I equals to 0, I is less than size s2, I plus plus. So here I is my increment. So if I say s2 and point to what value I want to get each time with I'll be able to capture that. So let's print that out when I get that. So it's going to print one in each line towards the end. Now let's see. And the same thing I can achieve with the simpler one. And I know that since this is a string, so I'll say since this is a list team, so I can just say more like Python in here. A string x in s2 print x. Yeah, colon expected. So here it's going to do the same thing, but a shorter and easier looking code where it will go through each element and print it. So x for each instance will have the value. Will iterate through the array list till the end. That's the whole point. Making sense, everyone? So how we are able to hold different sets of data. Now, where does this apply? What do you think such kind of an implementation is there? Array is there. What is wrong with having fixed size? For example, even tools like AnyAuth, right? When we're working on it, I may have, let us say, even in automation testing and all that, I'm writing different steps here. Okay? So based on the number of steps, I'll create a new array team. So I don't know the number of steps that I have until I finish all of them going through and navigating. So then is when I know the total size. Then I have to create the array and then I have to keep adding. Rather than that, as soon as I find it, I'll keep adding to that specific array list. And that's the big advantage that we will have. So you can change the size of it. This data in kinetic 10 more minutes, couple more information. So in an X, oops, we're gonna paint. So look, same thing is good in fact. So this is a variable, this is an array. Now array list is basically keep on adding to it or keep replacing where you want. That's our array list. What this helps is for dynamic size. When you don't know at the start how long your data is going to be. So your Excel data, if it is fixed, that's good. But in some scenarios, what happens? Okay, if this is this, then you do this, then you have to do this, and so on. It may change the size of things, may change the shape of things. And that dynamicness, you'll be able to get that through ArrayList. Okay. Now, the same thing like I showed you on strings, you can do it on any type of an array list. Basically, whatever your array can hold, your array list also can hold. There's the fact that it is, you can resize it. I didn't write any notes here. Unlike arrays, array list will be resized. And let's copy that simple code concept so it's easy to understand. In this get, and then this remove, I think that's about what we have. Right. And yeah, we have set also. Set position, remove by value, and you can also remove by position team. If I say s2 dot remove and run index 2 and now print, so s2 is gonna have removed the second item, which might be all these. Let's see. There you go. See, no more all these is present. So this is remove by position, remove by matching text. And then what else do we have? Yeah, so that's pretty much what we have for array listing. So this is helping us to better manage data, better handle it, be able to better work with things. Now, how is Hashmaps different? What does it try to do? The approach has been very simple thing. We talked about a key value pair. So it is always revolving around. It looks like a list in some shape, but it's going to have two attributes to it. So let us say, think of it as like a array list map that we will have. So how do I put this? 46 underscore Hashmaps. Okay. Now, what am I talking about in Hashmaps here? So key value pair is basically saying that have data constructed into a structure. So let's say, for example, I want username, password for all users. So the way we will store it is just as the representation team. I'll say user1 name is KK, password 1 or password is 123. And then I will have another user. This is AA, password is, let's say, 234. So the combination of data for each key value becomes one object. in the sense one U and one P is one data item. So they're together combined. So let us say, I'm just trying to think of something. I have a hash map here. Just the hash map is very simple, just like ArrayList. And here I have to let me put say weather in city or temp degree Fahrenheit. Mm. Is that the correct one, Fahrenheit? Why it's giving me an error in city? So what I'm saying here, team, is each city could have a different temperature. So I will say there is a string that is a city name and int that is a value that is going there. So I'll say city temp equals new hash map. And in this, I can put same string, comma, int. So that's my key value pair. That's my structure in which I will enter data. I think I can't do in dimensions. It's dimensions to complete it first time. What did I do wrong here? Let's import Hashmap first. Is it just a string and string for now? The same, but it's pointing to int for some reason. Now I'm get the import Hashmap. That's good. And I want to put an integer here. So what's wrong with that? Dimensions. Oh, it's not. It's taking everything into a string format for now. Let me use it as a string. So now I will go about, let us add content. One data item at a time. So that has to go with where I say city 10 dot set. What we're using here? Dot add, right? So let's see. I don't think it's dot add. City temp dot add. No. And is added to the any order. Order is not important in this case. City temp dot put put key and variable. See, that is what it tells you the put command to specify what is the key and what is the value. And both of these I need to send into it. So I'll say dot put, and the key is, let's say, LA, and the temperature is 75. So my data is getting created like this, like a map. And let us say New York. Let's say Vegas is maybe, and I'm consist adding to all of these and saying, let's say Florida is 77. So I've added data. Let me print and see if it's working first. City, and this will print the entire hash map first. So really, hash map will look like combinations of key and a value to it. a key and a value. There you go. Got Vegas and Florida 77, New York 43. Let's rerun this. And I don't think it's got anything in specific order team. It's not even alphabetic or not, but I'm not sure what it followed as an order. The order of content is not important. I know that this is my hash map. So at any point, I can get out the data of a temperature for a specific city by specifying the key. The key here, I'll say, is Florida. So it print me the temperature in Florida. I'll say 10 in Florida is. And now you can access the data from the cache. If you want, you can reset it and say that, you know what, my Florida temperature is too hot. It may be changed to 69 and let's print this again. Florida is now updated to 69. And that's how you're maintaining a key to a value. The biggest usage is how we do our RESTful APIs with JSON and so on. All of them use the key value pair. At any point, you're basically interested in that key and value. So now I just want to remove this list. I'll say city temp dot, let's say replace. Description copy to replace the entry and the specified key only if it is currently mapped to some value. So let's replace t. Replace is, so take the Vegas and update it to 85. Just making it harder. Okay. So that's replaced to 85. And I'm going to the specific key team in this case. If I say key and value, then I'm specifying both of them. But in this case, I'm just saying what is the key. So I want to remove LA from it. And let's again print city temp and have hash map for us. So LA is gone, Vegas is now 85, Florida is set to 69, New York is 43. So you're able to add content into a team. And one of the most dangerous values, but keep it carefully, is clearing them all. So clear city temp. Oh, it's already 7:15. We didn't notice. So clear clears the entire data to the end. So hopefully you've copied it somewhere. So I'll say this is after clear. All right, let's run this. There you go. So after we've cleared it, there's nothing else left in it. And very critical to keep a check on the size of things as to how long it is and to be able to print anything that you want. So let us say before we clear to the end, I want to print all the key values. So it's a for string s in colon city 10 dot key. Is key set The correct one? Yeah, set of all the keys. Returns a set view of the keys contained in this map. So whatever keys are there, this would return that to me. So all I need to do is print each time in this case. And if I want to print all these key names, values for each. If you want to print combination, you know it. You can also do use put. Use anywhere. Just city. Yeah, we use get here. That's fine. So here, sets SS. So again, it's different one. Here I want to do values. City temp dot key values or not just values. So this should list return a collection view of the values contained in this map. So we'll know what is there in the entire thing, one after the other to get printed. So this is done at the end, just before the clear method that we have. We also have the size method team, and I think that's about one of the most simple ones that we need. So it's printed Vegas, Florida, New York. These are the keys that we have, just the keys. 85, 69, 43, that's just the values by itself. That's what my for loop was doing. So at any point, SSCT temp dot size, that should return size of the hash is. And this basically is a combination, right? So let's see what it returns in this case. At this point, just before printing, I just see 3. That is 3. If I keep adding a few, all right, okay. Right. And just assuming, don't put the physics. Please don't take personally about the cities and the temperature that I've chosen. More to increase the size by putting a few more, so we'll know size is getting updated according to size is fine. And that's about hash maps. Hash maps helps us to store content by way that I can use that to get that data for that specific content. And what you can do with hash maps and how you can go a little bit more, we can do more when we do API programming. This I want to combine with the SJ because it's repetition. I will show try catch exception handling. Yes. I also want to show log4j to you team, how to log program logs. Okay. That's about it from my side, team. Hope you are getting the concepts, repeating, practicing. Let me know if there are questions. Please do reach out on Skype team. And yes, I saw one Bhargav, you mentioned it. We just completely finished this quick coverage of most of the topics. Right, everyone. Thank you so much. That's it for today then. I'll see you back tomorrow.